You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com. That's PJ4F.com, the only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans. Tune in every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Call in and give us your takes anytime at 408-909-PJFF. Phone lines are always open. Brought to you by Creative Media Design Services. Check them out at creativemediamonterey.com. Hey, yo, it's time to pillage another podcast. I'm your host, Kenny Stapler. Yo, Che, talk to me.
What's up, Kenny? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good, man. Just another day in paradise.
There you go.
How you living?
Feeling good, man. Hey, the opposite of last week, man. We're dealing with this heat wave now all of a sudden.
Ooh, it's hot.
Sweating a little bit over here, man. Sweating a little bit.
It's hot in the crow's nest. You got to understand that we're up here. It's second story. Heat rises. Sun's coming in the window right about now. Actually, just about to pass. But I got to get the windows closed for the recording. Got to get the AC and the fans turned off for recording. So we're doing it for you guys.
That's right, man. We're sweating it up. It's all good.
We got that
little bit of a sauna in here.
We got that Raider must going on. That Ode de Madden is in the air for sure. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. Minicamp just concluded. They're going to be back. It won't be till late July that they reconvene, and they'll be in Napa, as per usual.
And we're going to have cars signed by then, right?
Man, I don't know. I'm not really sweating it right now. I mean,
I'm not sweating it either, man. I just throwing it out there.
He'll be signed when he gets signed. There's astute analysis there by Kenny Stapler. He'll be signed
when he gets signed.
When he's signed. Shout out to John Madden. So check it out. Some notes from camp, and we'll give you guys our reactions. First off, Jared Cook is cooking, man. He's balling out. Sounds like he's getting a lot of first team reps. Word is he's got a lot of strong, crisp routes he's running, and hauling in passes, showing good hands, and effective route running. Something we're not really getting out of Walford so far. He's a lot slower than I thought he would be. So what's your take on Cook? You think, I mean, from what little we know, in basketball shorts and minicamp, can this guy snatch the number one spot away from Walford?
I think it's possible that he's going to take the number one spot, but I don't think that that's going to necessarily reduce Walford's production on the field. I think you're going to see some two tight end sets, and I think that it actually might open up more opportunities for him. And I from what I saw from some of the analysis or some of the writers, they were talking a little bit about the same thing too. That they feel like that might be a set that the Raiders use a lot as far as going out with two tight ends or splitting them out wide, because both of them got the ability to run as a wide out too. So
yeah,
that one backfield, one backfield, and a couple receivers on both sides.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be shocked to see Carr hike that foot and watch Jared Cook motion out into the slot?
Right.
Yeah. And now we actually definitely have two threats in the two tight end set. When Smith is in there, he's probably just going to stay in and block. Though he did show some catching ability the last few times we got to see him. So Jared Cook's definitely exciting. I would like to see him snag that number one spot away from Walford. I know it's, what is it? Walford's third year now. It's going to be his third year.
Going third.
Third year, yeah.
Third year.
It'll be his second full year going in. It'll be his first full offseason with the team because he's not riding ATVs this year, I hope. It might be a little strange to go away from a draft pick so quickly, but when you get a guy like Cook who's got, big game experience and obviously played with Aaron Rodgers, you got to go with talent, right?
Right.
So no more scholarships. We know that. So Jared Cook, look for him to make a big splash this season like we thought he could. Just hope he can carry that playoff look into the regular season, because he was quiet last year during the regular season.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people were talking about him until he made that catch on the Cowboys.
Right.
So we need a little bit more production out of you, Cook.
So moving right along, Derek Carr was vocal. He had a lengthy press conference. It was a good press conference. It's very entertaining. You should check it out if you haven't seen it already. I know most of you probably have listened to it or watched it at the very least. I read some of the transcript myself in some of my meetings that I was in. So those of you that are listening that work with me, just shh. But one thing that Carr said is he was looking forward to going deep often and more so to Cooper this year. But surprise, he's been going deep often with more than just Cooper this offseason. So lofting a lot of spirals up in the air, and basically to anybody with a pair of hands, he's showing no prejudice on the field, spreading that ball around. So
I like it.
I like it. I like it too. It's old school Raider football.
Yeah.
And now with more than one threat in the backfield, and tight ends underneath, and we got a full stable of wide receivers, that's going to open things up for him quite a bit.
I think so, man. I think he's gonna have so many options out there. He might just throw to every single person on the team, man.
And I think getting rid of Musgrave is a big part of this, because I think Musgrave is a run after catch type coordinator.
Right.
You saw a lot of bubble screens, a lot of hitch routes, hoping for run after catch, and that doesn't always happen. And you have an elite wide receiver, but you're in the NFL playing against elite defenders, so you can't gamble on that. I know everybody hates it. It's a big trend in the NFL. 3rd and 10, and it's a 7-yard pass. So hopefully we get out from underneath that. Hopefully we don't see a lot of 3rd and 10s, but you know where I'm going with that.
Right. No, I think all of us can agree that we hate that, right?
Yeah.
You got to, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and it's always short of the sticks. It's like, what are you doing?
And this is not just a Raiders problem. This is see it in
wide.
every game. See it in every game.
Yeah.
Often. So So look for Carr to go deep this year. I think he's gonna be airing it out a lot more. I think he's gonna have a lot more input into the game plan. So let's move on. Speaking of wide receivers, big signing this offseason, in my opinion. I thought it was a big signing myself. Cordarrelle Patterson.
Yep.
So when we signed him, everyone said, this guy's a threat in the return game, which he is. But we're seeing now through minicamp, he's getting a lot of looks at wide receiver. And not only that, but he's very consistent, catching balls from both Derek and EJ, right?
Nice.
So he's definitely getting a look at wide receiver. The question is he going to be number 3 or is he going to be number 4?
I think personally, I think that Seth is going to keep that number 3 spot just because he has that experience with us. And from what we've seen in the past, that's kind of the role that players on our team will take. As far as if you're not a number 1, if you're not the stud, if you ain't Cooper, if you ain't Crab, then you're going to be brought along slowly, right? They're not going to just be hot throwing up the passes to you right off the bat. But I mean, if Patterson turns out and he starts making some big plays, maybe somewhere in the middle of the season, there's a change there.
Now, Seth saved our butts a couple times last year, most notably that Tampa Bay game.
Exactly.
But he also dropped a lot of balls last year, too. And as you know, we led the league in wide receiver drops. Okay. You had mentioned that the biggest problem for the misconnection or disconnects or whatever between Carr and the wide receivers were dropped passes. Yeah. Not a lot of overthrown balls, not a lot of errant passes, a lot of dropped balls.
Right, and we don't even have to see the stats for that. We saw the games, right?
Yeah.
We were watching the games and we're like, come on. So many times they hit, made contact with right in their hands. Both hands, not one hand, not, no passes behind you, all that kind of stuff. It was located perfectly, and there's just simple drops. So hopefully that improves as far as the whole wide receiver crew goes, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have that issue.
So I mean, you could chalk it up to a lot of things. Derek does throw the ball hard, but the last thing you want to do is have him let up.
Right.
You want your quarterback throwing the ball hard. Some of the greatest quarterbacks threw the ball very hard.
Right.
Wide receivers got to deal with that. Crabtree, in my opinion, gets a bit of a pass, even though he's known for that. We saw him eliminate those errors the season before this last one, but I given him a pass this year because he had the finger injury. He had the broken finger,
right,
which kind of got overshadowed by Carr's finger. But Cooper was up there too, and I don't know what the excuse is there. Seth, no excuses either.
And you know what? And it seemed like that drop off was towards the later half of the season, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about, these guys improving that second half of the season. Amari, we want to see you doing better the second half of the season. Seth, we want to see you doing better the second half of the season. And Crab, even though we're giving you a little bit of a pass, you still got to make up the second half of the season too.
Yeah. That's what we need to see. We see 16 games from these guys. We're gunning for everything this year. So down that stretch, that's what it's all about. So let's move along. Shalik Calhoun. I don't know if you want to call him a disappointment last year, considering he was sort of a project pick anyways, but let's face it, he was disappointing.
Yeah.
the note I'm getting out of camp is mentioned by a couple of reporters. He's noticeably larger. He's put on muscle this offseason, and he's really bulked up. And apparently it's paid off. He's getting consistent push and pressure, and he's putting pressure on the quarterbacks during camp. Does he show up when it counts? Do we count on this guy? What does Calhoun make an impact this year? I mean, I could see him nudging forward a little bit, but I'm reading this and I'm like, okay, I'm excited, but I'm skeptical. I'm still skeptical.
I think that's like a gift, right? I don't think our expectations were there for him last year, and I don't think they're necessarily there for him this year. If he goes out there and he produces and he gives us something, another threat in the rush or even in the run game, I mean, perfect. We'll take it, right? We're not gonna complain about it.
No.
But for now, I mean, based off of what we've seen, and like you said, he was a project pick right off the bat.
Yeah.
I think the expectations should be kept low until we see something more to give us a reason to expect more from him.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Calhoun, take what we can get, but we definitely need that push up the middle, and we've beat that horse quite a bit. So go back, listen to past episodes if you're just joining us. But we've talked about that at length. Calhoun, if you can be the one, then man, I'll take it.
You're more than welcome, man. Come on.
So, the guy that's probably gotten the most talk this offseason, Marshawn Lynch. And this kind of ties into a question we're going to get to later from one of our bloggers. But he appears to be in great shape. We've seen some of the video of him, and I know we're just in shorts, but the cuts look sharp. He looks healthy, and the word is he's got burst off the line.
And most importantly, dude, I think motivation. Right? I think he's motivated, man.
Oh, man.
That dude is highly motivated, and you could tell he's enjoying being out on the field again. And when you got that kind of attitude and you already know what kind of things he can bring to the table, I think it's all positive, man. I think we're in for a nice season from Marshawn. And
it's all context, right? Where this ship's leaving port in a few years, and Lynch knows that, and he knows what the stakes are. It's town business, and that business is now a Lombardi Trophy.
Exactly. And we were talking about this. He ain't coming back if he don't know he can come back and be productive. Let's be real, y'all. That's not a good look for him going out in front of his hometown and his home people.
Yeah.
And not producing. Yeah. He wouldn't come back for that. If he didn't think he could produce, he wouldn't be back.
It's not least mode. It's beast mode.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
So, that pretty much, I mean, the Lynch thing, it's obvious, but it's a note, and it's something to be excited about because we've been wondering, and we're finally getting a look at this guy on a field, and it looks good so far. So as long as it stays looking good through every phase leading up to preseason and then some, I'm going to stay happy. I'm going to stay excited. So apparently Garyon Conley is not just a cornerback. He's a sponge, and nice. he's soaking up the defense. That's from JDR himself. You and I both commented that Conley's a smart guy on the field. I mean, everything else still kind of up for debate right now. We'll find out what happens. Made some obvious mistakes. But man, what we need is a smart corner. And, we were talking already when he was drafted, is he going to be the number 3? Is he going to be the nickel, or is he going to beat out Emerson or even Smith? And I don't know if it's Carr and our wide receivers or if it's still the problem is with our corners, but those corners are getting beat often in minicamp. So that tells me either way, there's an opportunity for him to crack that starting lineup.
Right.
And I did say, the nickel back now is a starter in this league, but I'm talking 1 or 2.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree with you more.
Right.
And I think I said that. I think when we were talking about it, I said, I could see him at that 1 or 2 spot.
And I like to see it. I like to see the versatility. I know Conley is a lanky dude, but definitely not so much as Smith and Emerson. Put one of those guys in the slot, Well, I guess, it depends on personnel because some teams will go possession guy in the middle, big dude. Other teams will go small guy, scamper. You know what I mean? So I guess we'll shift around as far as personnel, but definitely good things about Conley. He's not the only secondary player making a splash in camp, and probably the guy making the biggest splash so far is Shalom Luani.
Yeah.
This guy is turning heads.
Yeah.
And somebody made a comment that I thought was pretty eye-opening, and we'll talk about that. But he's already got a pick 6 this week. I didn't see who it was off of.
Well, I don't know who the pick 6 was off of, but I heard that he got his hands on on Derek's pass. One
Okay.
of Derek's passes. He deflected a pass.
Okay.
And so that's a good sign, man.
That's
I mean,
something.
we don't like him deflecting passes from Derek because we don't like Derek getting deflected at all, right? But if that dude's showing up against our first team, that's a good sign.
And the surprise is not his ball hawking ability, right? He had 19 picks in 25 games in Washington State.
Right.
That's incredible. The surprise is the guy that came to us so deep. Was he undrafted? He was like 7th round.
7th.
7th?
Yeah.
And we'll go back and well, no, we don't fact check. We don't fact check.
No fact checking.
We're gonna go with 7th. But I guess the shock is that the guy came so late, and he's coming from a smaller school. So yeah, those numbers are good, but what do they mean against what competition? And if he's showing up in camp and making splash already, then heck, maybe he's the real deal.
Yeah.
We already know McKenzie. He gets those steals, those UDFAs, those dumpster diving free agents, those late round picks. So a lot of McKenzie critics say, oh, he's drafted some great players, but they were no-brainers. Mack was a no-brainer, Cooper's a no-brainer, Carr was a no-brainer. Yeah, there's a lot of guys out there that weren't no-brainers that we picked up. Look at Rashard, look at Gabe Jackson, look at possibly Luwani. You could say Joseph was a stretch and not a slam dunk, and he looks to be panning out too. So I would even throw him in that circle as well. So Shalom Luwani. Shalom. I'll hold up my fist when I say that every single time. My voice sounds different this week. I don't know what it is. My microphone.
You're maturing.
Maybe it is. They finally dropped. I had to go with a more supportive undergarment. So yeah, it's a big time for me in my life right now. Woke up with a goatee. That was crazy. So that's it, man. Camp's over. We'll see him again late July, like I said. And I'm excited, man. I'm excited for this offseason.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna roll the dice this year. Anything you want to say about minicamp?
No, man. I'm glad to hear that guys are getting after it. Some expected, some unexpected. Like I said before, man, if we get proven wrong or somebody pops out of the woodworks that we didn't expect, then perfect, man. I mean, as long as it's improving our team, I'm happy. And I'm more than willing to tee up my words. Like I said before, show me, prove me that I'm wrong in what I said about you. That's cool. I'm good. I'm a grown man. I'm not going to get my feelings hurt.
So I guess the story that's left is the one you already brought up is there's a pretty long gap between now and late July. Plenty of time for that contract to get signed. So you asked me, would he be signed? I would really like to see him be signed.
Me too, man. The sooner the better. The sooner the better. But I do think, and I was listening to some, I forget which show it was, but they were talking about it. And there might be a little bit of a stretch and wait to see what Washington does with Cousins.
Right.
Just to assure that he's not paid less
than Kirk Cousins.
Right. Yeah. Which I don't think he should be, right?
Yeah.
The proof's in the pudding, the winning.
Take care of the man.
That's it.
Pay the man. So before we get off to break, we're going to introduce a new segment. It's called I See You.
I see you.
I see you. I pull a random quote off the blog. So for those of you that are listeners and not readers of the site, we have a very, very active comment section. Che here, not a daily participator, but definitely a lurker.
I'm a lurker.
So would you back me up that our comment section is active?
It's very active.
It's most active.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of different Raider sites. Silver and Black Pride's a good site. Reddit.com r/Raiders. I go over there. We post over there. Just Blog Baby. I go over there. I do read Ted Nguyen's articles, Gypsy Safety, wherever they happen to pop up. They had a site for a while called Raiders Analysis. I think they're posting to a new site though, but those are two of my favorite writers, I do believe. Obviously, Bleacher Report. These sites are great, and the writers are great. I mean, the better than some of what I can do and what our bloggers can do. We put out some good stuff, but these guys are grinding every single day. They put out a lot of content. We put out about one podcast a week, and during the regular season, we had a few articles up there too. Again, we're all fan driven. That being said, if you are a listener and haven't come to our site and you fancy yourself a writer, send me something. And we'll post it. That said, all of these sites, you go to the comment section, I see 25, 30 comments. And where our site started, I won't mention where it started, but we've migrated to pj4f.com. I mean, we're averaging 2,000 to 3,000 comments a day. So, and we got guys, New York, London, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, Pennsylvania, obviously all up and down California and places in between, coming out to games and meeting up at our tailgates. So the community is real. So I'm not bragging. What I am doing is urging you to jump in the pool.
Right.
And I'm also just setting the stage for these comments. So the first one, I just want to read this. I thought this was funny. I put out the call to everybody on the site today to send us their questions. We got a Q&A segment coming up on the back half of the show. Call in with their questions, write us their questions. And Big Ted 707, I think that's the Santa Rosa area. But I could be wrong. I don't know, Ted. You tell me where you're at. But he said he thought he had called into the show, but it accidentally dialed 1-900-MIX-A-LOT. So my question to you, Che, is if you were to dial 1-900-MIX-A-LOT, what do you think the answering machine is on the other side? When that other side picks up, what do you hear over there?
Even white boys got the shout. Oh, baby got back. Come on, man.
All right, real quick, I digress. Favorites from Mix-A-Lot album, and you can't say none.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I would maybe easier to say song, man. I'd like Posse on Broadway. Come on,
yeah,
man. My Posse's on Broadway.
I think that was on Swass.
Okay.
I think that was the name of that album. Swass was another single off the album. Buttermilk Biscuits on that album. Square Dance Rap was on that album. Posse on Broadway is probably my favorite Mix-A-Lot song too. But I played Seminar a lot.
Okay.
When I was younger. I didn't have too many hits on it, but it had the Sky Pager anthem. If you had a beeper, that was your anthem. And I walked around all summer with that on the boombox, and people were like, "Man, that white boy, it's kind of nice.
He's got a pager."
I doubt that's what they were saying about me, but we talked about the medallion last week, so I'll just leave that one right there. All right, so that was just kind of a freebie. I thought that one was entertaining. So here we go. We got a little interchange, a little exchange here. So IR Johnny, who's been on the blog for a while, he posts, Carl Joseph is going to be a nightmare for offenses this year. Johnny, I don't disagree with you. My homeboy Raider Forever, we call him Saint Homer, and if you come on the blog, you'll find out why. We used to, I'm gonna say we because I wasn't in that, but a few guys would poke at him, call him Homer, and my man embraced it.
Yeah,
added it to his handle.
It's all good
because that's how he rolls, right? He takes the hate, he turns it into love.
That's it,
right? And Che knows Raider Forever. We've tailgated quite a bit. He's a madman. We love that guy. Shout out to you, Raider Forever, for getting me into Raider games all last season. But his response to IR Johnny saying Carl Joseph is going to be a nightmare for offenses this year was he quoted another one of our bloggers. It's complicated. Stay with me.
Okay.
The JFB, who I've also had the opportunity to kick it with, great guy, who said earlier today, Luwani will replace Joseph soon. Bold statement.
That's a bold statement.
Coming from a very bold blogger. This is the same guy that said we should have passed on Khalil Mack. Now, I don't want to pick on JFB too much because I know him. I know some of what he says is just to stir the pot. But I also know he's got hot takes.
Yeah.
And
hey, he's gotta get one right here pretty soon, right? So he's gonna keep throwing them out there, man.
So agree or disagree?
I got to disagree. Hey man, if Luwani gets out there, he gets on the field, awesome. But I definitely think KJ's gonna have a season this year. I think he's gonna be out there. I think I was actually looking at like you said, I was lurking on the blog, and somebody was talking about it, or somebody posted up a write up that somebody did about KJ being out there. And when he's out there, he has the QBR goes down significantly as opposed to when he's not out there. Yeah. And I think that's what we saw too, right? When he went out with what? With that turf toe? Was it turf toe?
Yeah, turf toe.
We saw a significant difference in the way that we played against the passing games of other teams. So I feel like I feel like he's a sponge too. I feel like he's improving, and I think he's coming out. He ain't taking it lightly, man. He realizes what his opportunities are with the team, and the fact that he got took so early in the draft. When he did get drafted, nobody believed in him. Everyone was doubting him, except you, right? You called it. You called it. That was your pick.
That was my pick.
Yeah, man. I think he knows that, and so he knows he has a chance to do something special this year, and I think he's gonna do it.
I certainly hope so. I think that kid's got his eye on the Hall of Fame. I really do. I know it's early to say that. I know that's a hot take. But he's got the kind of focus that's unmatched. So I agree with you, Che. Sorry, JFB. I didn't mean to put you on the spot like that. We literally just pulled this segment out of our butt, like right before he got on the air. Like literally, Che didn't even know I was going to come at him with right now. And
we freestyle up in here, man.
So maybe if the stars align, we can have you on next week to defend your take, or you can just call in and defend your take, and we'll play it next week because I want to give you a shot to defend yourself. It's a hot take, and I know you're a smart guy, so I know you got your reasoning for it. So I want to hear your reasons behind that. Convince me, because I ain't mad at you. I mean, if that's the case, then we got a lot of talent at the secondary.
Yeah.
If you're right, that's not a bad thing.
That's not a bad thing.
So shout out to JFB. Shout out to Saint Homer, Raider Forever. Shout out to IR Johnny. Shout out to Big Ted 707. Shout out to all you guys. You get me through a lot of work days, man. A lot of bank lines, a lot of just waiting around. You get me through it. You guys are the real MVP.
Real MVP, man.
You the real MVP.
All right, so that's all for the first segment. We're going to catch you guys after the break. We're going to hear from one or two of our callers. I don't know how many messages we have this week. We got some spicy ones. So you might hear some questions coming up during the break, which we will address on the other side. And then we had some bloggers email us some questions, and that's going to be the whole second segment. Open discussion. If you hit us with a question or a comment, we're going to address it. And see you guys on the other side. We out here.
Peace.
You're listening to the Pillaging Podcast, companion podcast to PillagingJustForFun.com. The only Raider fan site made by Raider fans for Raider fans, featuring fan-submitted articles and the most lively Raider Nation conversation on the internet. Follow us on Twitter @PillageJustForFun. That's @PillageJust4Fun. Also, tune in every Tuesday on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio.
Kenny, Silver and Black 666. I got a question for you guys, right? Is Reggie Nelson a stud, or is he a spud? Like a potato that's just worthless and sits there and does nothing? Because I don't know how this guy makes the Pro Bowl, but from my eye test, this guy's a spud. He's a Idaho potato grown by some Irish dude and just worthless. Like, I don't know. How did he get in the Pro Bowl? Can you explain to me how Reggie Nelson got in the Pro Bowl? Thank you.
And we're back. So you just heard Silver and Black 666 call in, and he had a hot take.
Hot take.
Hot
pants.
Reggie Nelson, stud or spud? Che, stud or spud?
Oh, man. I think we've pretty much shown our card on this one, right?
Yeah.
In the past few episodes.
Yeah. All last season.
I'm going to go spud until he shows me different, man.
Yeah.
We talked about it. The dude's made a couple Pro Bowls in a row, but it's all about that eye test.
Yeah.
When we sit down and we watch games, or when we're in the Coliseum watching the games, we don't see it.
Don't see it.
I don't see it.
Nope.
I see late interceptions that don't mean nothing.
Yeah.
I see padded stats, and that's not what I want to see.
Yeah.
Like I said, I want to see some plays early and often. I want to see big plays early and often, Reggie. And if you ain't bringing that to the table, then I got to call you spud.
I'm going to go spud. You knew that already.
Of course.
Listeners knew that already. Second part of that call, why was he in the Pro Bowl? I mean, okay, so we did say he had a lot of late game Well, not a lot, but he had some late game picks. He had a couple late game big hits that looked nice. So that could have got him there. But as you know, the Pro Bowl is kind of a funky thing in the NFL. There's a certain amount of pedigree that goes along with that. So he had made the Pro Bowl in 2015. He was the interception co-leader in 2015. He was also second team All-Pro in 2015. And those kinds of things have a habit of spilling over. We've seen rookies or younger players have a breakout season and not make the Pro Bowl until the following year, or maybe they make it as an alternate, and maybe they should at least been a second or third stringer in the Pro Bowl.
Exactly.
And it doesn't really show up until they kind of do that 2 years in a row. Whereas when we see veterans even tailing off, make it 2 years in a row. So I think hopefully that answers your question, Sixes. I think that's what it is.
I think so too. And like we said, a little bit of padded stats helps that too, right? When you look at the end of the year stats and you see all these interceptions or whatever, or pass deflections, and you're not really looking at the game. No one's looking at the full game film. They're just looking at what the tally is. And if you got a nice tally, then you're probably gonna make it, especially if you're a vet, right? Like you said, and you were there the year before.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We talked about it. Reggie, prove me wrong. Make me shut up. Make me eat my words, and I'll be all right with it. It's all good. But for now, sorry, man.
I'll tell you what. If ripping off your chin strap was a stat that got you in the Pro Bowl, Reggie Nelson would have pushed Sean Smith there last year. Yeah, because Sean Smith lost his damn voice and almost broke his neck turning around and yelling at you. And hopefully Smith proves me right this year and doesn't sputter this year. Hopefully that's what it is.
Right.
Hopefully he's not yelling at Obi back there if it's Obi.
Yeah, man.
Or Luwani, for all that matters. So let's move on to our written questions. JFB back in the spotlight. He's got a question. It's a good question. It's a good one. Who has more yards from scrimmage this year? Cordarrelle Patterson. Is it Cordarrelle or Cordell? Cordero?
I don't know. I'm going to go with Cordero.
Cordero Patterson. This is my brother.
Cordero, call in, man. Let us know how to pronounce your name. Tell me that I'm wrong, too, on that.
This is my brother Cordero. This is my other brother Cordero. That's a Newhart joke. Young kids won't get that.
Oh, Bob Newhart.
That's it. So JFB asks, who has more yards from scrimmage this year, Cordarrelle Patterson or DeAndre Washington? D-Dub, as they call him on the team. I'm going to go with Patterson because I think that this guy – and so there's two different caveats here. You can say, do return yards count as yards from scrimmage? If they do, I'm going to go Patterson all day. Even if they don't, I'm going to go Patterson by a sword. Okay?
Right.
I'm just keeping it Raider.
Yeah.
Okay, by a sword, by a saber. I think he's gonna edge it out because I could see him scoring yards in chunks. And if Carr is concentrating on deep passes and defenses are concentrating on outside wide receivers, and Patterson, who cracks the lineup as a third wide receiver, which I would like to see,
right?
I say Patterson all day, and I think that's the X factor. Is Cordero. Patterson. If Patterson is a third, no brainer. If he's a fourth, I got to go D-Dub. And you know how high I am on DeAndre Washington. I already said it multiple times. Thought he was going to be the starting running back at the end of last year. He wasn't, but he did average. What did he average?
He averaged 5.37 yards per carry.
That's solid.
That's solid, man.
Man.
Yeah.
That's Pro Bowl numbers right there. I mean, if he had the carries.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
If he had the carries, for sure.
So who do you got in this argument?
I'm with you, man. I'm with you with Cordero. I think Cordero's gonna edge him out. I don't think it'll be by much, but I think he'll definitely edge him out. And I think that's just because there's gonna be a little bit more opportunity there.
Yeah.
We're stacked on both. I mean, in both positions. We're stacked in the running back position as far as I'm concerned. As far as Raider fans concerned, you should feel the same way. I mean, we have Richard, we have Washington. We added Hood and we added Lynch. And we know we were talking about Lynch already. Come on. Lynch is going to be big. Lynch is going to be big. You don't come back unless you're going to be big. Lynch is going to be big.
Yeah.
All right. So, he's going to be sharing carries.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that his attempts are going to be going up. I don't know that his touches as far as the running game are going to be going up. And, last year he had 467 yards on 87 touches. That's nice. He was productive, but he had to share a lot of those carries, right? And I don't think it's going to be any different as far as the running game goes.
No.
I think his receiving is going to be improved. I think he's going to go up a little bit in his receiving. I think
he can't catch. He can't catch.
I think he's going to be a little bit bigger part in the receiving game.
Yeah.
So I could see him improving there. But like you said, if we're including return yards, I don't even think it's going to be a question.
Yeah.
Because we're talking about Cordero Patterson, who was averaging 31, 32 yards per return. Yeah. So if we're including return yards, it's not even close.
No.
This guy's going to get big chunks, and we might see some touchdowns. He might get more touchdowns in the return game than he does in the passing game.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
We need one of those, right? We haven't seen one in a while.
No. Rest in peace, Jacoby Ford.
Yeah, man.
And Patterson, if you let me down, I'm flipping it up, and I'm changing your name to Poor Daryl Catterson. Shout out to Friskies. He loves cats. Or he hates cats. I can't figure it out. I know he loves dogs. No offense. That's an inside joke. There's some people laughing at that right now. There's some people crying. To be quite honest. So good question, JFB. I like that. Still looking for your call next week to defend that statement about Joseph and Luwani. So let's move on here to Raider Rockstar. He's longtime blog stalwart as well as JFB and a lot of these other guys you hear their names flying around on the podcast. And he's a cool guy. He's definitely a pot stirrer on the blog, but he's no dummy. He's got hot takes as well. He's a controversial blog member, and we like that about him. We really do. And he's been a frequent caller to the show as well, so I appreciate that. So let's get to your questions. Question number 1. Raider Rockstar asks, do you trust Reggie and Jack enough if we don't sign a veteran like David Harris from the Jets or re-sign Perry Riley Jr. in free agency? Do you think OTA starters Tyrell Adams and Corey James can get the job done? Or are you pressing the panic button if Markel Lee and Jelani Jenkins aren't week 1 starters and upgrades over the 2016 crew? So that question's a mouthful. I think what he's asking is do we trust their eye for talent enough if we don't sign somebody? Basically, is the talent on the squad right now, or should we be worried if Markel Lee and Jenkins don't step up?
Right. And I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm gonna trust them. Mm-hmm. I know that we've discussed it at length as far as the production that we saw last year, what we did like, what we didn't like. But if Reggie and Jack think that there's enough there, then I'm going to trust in them until it's proven wrong. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think we can look at last year as a basis for what we think this year. I think Corey James was a rookie last year, so why shouldn't he improve this year? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that he's going to be a stud, he's going to be a standout, he's going to completely take over, but I think he'll improve. I think there's no reason why we shouldn't expect him to improve.
Should.
And like we said early on, when he first came in, those first couple games that he played, he looked like a stud. And we're like, whoa, okay, maybe we resolved this issue, But he then fell off, which I'm not mad at him. He's a rook, and he wasn't expected to start in the first place. So I'm expecting him to improve. As far as Jelani and Markel, we'll have to see.
Yeah. It's a wait and see.
Yeah, it's a wait and see. If Markel comes out and he is a starter, fantastic. But by no means do I have any expectations for him to be the starter day 1. I don't, because he needs some experience. And I think that goes for any late round pick that we had. We need to see them, be productive a little bit and gain some experience before they get out there and we're just completely depending on them.
Now, I'm going to play devil's advocate here because the fact that I haven't really heard any of these guys' names during the minicamp kind of leads me to a little bit of a panic. Now, I'm going to temper that panic by saying we do have a lot of talent in the secondary, and this is going to kind of lead me into his next question too. But, we're seeing some of the secondary playing down in linebacker roles, which isn't going to be an every down thing. And again, we'll elaborate on that more when we get to the next question. But I think there is a little bit of a panic there. I got a good feeling about Markel Lee, but that's all it is. It's just a good feeling. Mm-hmm. I got a good feeling. So, the major lack of talent there at the linebacker position. Do I trust Reggie and Jack? I do, but it just seems so ironic that these guys are both high caliber linebackers, and we've yet to land one of those,
Right.
Excluding Khalil Mack and signing Irvin free agency. But those guys are more specialists. I'm talking about that all around quarterback of the defense right there in the middle.
Right.
And I don't see one on this squad yet. And Corey James, yeah, you can play, but you're not going to wear the green dot, I don't think. Ben Heaney, I don't know what that experiment was.
Heaney wasn't even included in this question. That just goes to tell you what you think about Ben Heaney.
Ben Heaney was running to the sideline as this question was being written. So, I mean, hopefully it answers your question, Raider Rockstar. I think we've kind of covered both sides of it. I think there is some reason to panic there, but there is some talent there, and Corey James is coming back. I'd like to see him step up. I'd like to think that they're seeing something in these guys that hasn't quite happened on the field yet. So fingers crossed. I'll do that. I'll say I'm crossing my fingers.
Right.
I'm not panicking, but I'm kind of in the same spot I was in last year. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at right now. Question number 2. A few days ago, he links an article from Silver and Black Pride. And they I guess over there they were I don't know if that was Levi Damien or who wrote this article, but it speculated that the Raiders may plan to use Obi at linebacker, like the Arizona Cardinals used Deon Buchanan. I'm terrible with names, man.
It's okay, man. We don't get paid to pronounce names.
He says to add to your name is what I say it is. He goes on to add to the speculation. Keith McGill was spotted getting linebacker reps in minicamp today. Anytime they put it like that, like he was spotted, I imagine like somebody saw him and he kind of looked like, oh, something. I don't know.
Deer, like
yeah,
you saw me.
So he was spotted getting linebacker reps at the will position at the weak side in minicamp today. I guess that was maybe yesterday that he sent this in. Yeah. He's asking if Norton and Pagano implement this, do you see it being a major blow to our run defense? I'll answer this one first. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this is situational. What you're seeing are packages. These aren't first down packages. They might be second down. These are definitely passing situation packages. For years now, or at least since Jack showed up, and even prior to that, the spiel around the organization is that we want to be multiple on defense. The old school Al Davis way was you line up your players, we'll line up our players, and the best team's going to win. One-on-one matchups. And we've wanted to get away from that classic, 4-3 man-to-man bump and run Raider defense, which works when you got the guys for it, but it's not going to work every play, and it leaves you very susceptible to the big play. So I think now we're starting to see some versatility in the secondary that's going to allow us to do that, plus a weakness at the linebacker spot, which dictates that we do have to do that. But I don't see this hurting our run game because I don't see this in run packages at all. In fact, I see this more as a confusion technique. If you know Pagano, you know his tendency to blitz. This is a great way to disguise blitz packages. Why not send those safeties on blitzes? We've showed some success doing that. I see us doing it more this year. And I think this is a good thing, and I think it's going to help our run defense in a way because now we got more decoys, we got different looks, and I think young quarterbacks that go up against us, they're going to be a little bit confused, and I think that our conference foes or our divisional foes, they're going to, they see us every year. This is now finally a new, fresh look for them.
Right.
So you agree, disagree, anything more?
I completely agree. I don't think that this is something to be worried about. I think that this is something new for our defense, which is what we've been waiting for.
Oh, yeah.
We're tired of seeing guys have to go out there and beat the other guy, the guy in front of them, simply based on their talent and their abilities. Because that's what it's been. That's what it's been for the last few years. Our guys go, they line up, and if we make something happen, it's purely because they're better on that play than the other guy.
Right.
They're not getting any help from the disguise or from the actual defense, from the setup of the defense. So if we got something that a package that changes that up, that gives the offense a different look, that makes people get a little bit confused as to what we're doing, that's a bonus for us because we already have studs that can make plays based off of their talent and ability. Now you're giving them a chance to make more plays.
Yeah.
And like you said, I don't see this package in first down. This isn't going to be in running situations.
No.
We might see it in second down here and there, but it's definitely a package. It's meant for passing or for disguising a blitz, like you said, right? For bringing in those, So that, I think it's a bonus. I think it's a plus for us, and we want to see some different looks out of our defense. I don't want the same old thing. I'm tired of seeing guys give away the blitzes too, right?
Yeah. That's a killer.
Their ball hasn't even been hiked, and they're already running towards this line of scrimmage. It's ridiculous, and I'm like, why is it that we can't keep our defense disguised like other teams do?
Right.
So if we're bringing in these packages, I think it's a good sign. I think Pagano and Norton, they're getting together. They're realizing we got to be a little bit different on defense. If we want to be good on defense, there's got to be more than just having the talent. We got to be able to produce some out of the actual sets that we put out there.
Yeah, throw some grapes up in that fruit salad.
Yeah, for sure.
Toss some pineapple up in that bish. Mix it up.
Mix it up.
Question number 3 from Raider Rockstar. He's coming strong this week. Who's your favorite to land the 5th wide receiver spot behind Cooper, Crabtree, Roberts, and Patterson? He says you got Holton, Mickens, Brent, plus rookies Hatcher, Whitney, and Zamora competing for the number 1 roster spot. Who will it be and why? I assume special teams will play a part, and I think you're right in that. So I'm going to pass this over to you, Che, because I think you're very well versed in this. You got a lot of stats. You've done the research. You got your eyeball on a few players. So respond to Raider Rockstar's question. Who's the 5th wide receiver?
I touched on this guy when we were talking about, our surprise players and maybe somebody that's unexpected. I think that Jaden Mickens out of Washington might scoop up that 5th spot. No offense to Johnny Holton.
Not Terry Mickens.
No, not Terry Mickens. Jaden Mickens.
Okay.
But the kid, he caught my eye. For whatever reason, I saw a little bit of film on him. I saw him show up in some of our OTA films, and I told you, if you go onto the site, if you're on Snapchat, you're watching the videos, the little snippets that they send out, you're seeing this guy out there. He's running out there. They show him running routes with Crab. They show him running routes, alongside Amari and Patterson and Seth. So that leads me to believe that they're leaning towards this guy too.
Yeah.
I think it's very, very possible that this guy comes in and he's our 5th receiver. And for a lot of the reasons that I mentioned, this guy is quick off the line. He shakes defenders real quick and real easily off the line. He's got really, really good balance. And I think that at the 5th receiver spot, somebody that, can do some crossing routes, go across the middle. That's something that's very big for us because we have a lot of guys that can go deep. We got guys that can go deep right now. So if we can mix it up, we can get a guy that's in there for the short yardage plays, and then I think that's a bonus for us. And this guy, like we said, some of our guys, they take a little bit of time unless they're that number 1, number 2 stud receiver. They may sit on the practice squad and they slowly get brought along. Right. This guy's been on the practice squad for a year, and I think that they're leaning towards him. I think they're like, okay, kid, you got a little bit underneath you got a little some underneath your footing, and I think you can produce now. So I'm going with him, but I definitely think as far as the other guys that he mentioned, I'm kind of also putting Zamora in the mix. The rookie out of Baylor, Ishmael Zamora. This kid is the
Rocket Ishmael Zamora.
I hope he's not the Rocket Ishmael. This guy, a lot of people felt like he was one of the top receivers coming out of the draft, and if not for some bonehead mistakes that he did, in his personal life, he might have actually gotten drafted. There was a question on his character, and there was an incident where he was filmed beating his dog, or disciplining his dog, however you want to look at it. He was caught whipping his dog with a rope or something like that for some reason. That got out there. He got suspended, and then he wasn't invited to the combine, which obviously is going to take your draft possibilities are going to take a hit. But the kid looks like a stud on film. You look at his film. He's a big dude, 6'4". He's got that top end speed. He gets over coverage. He gets up and he high points the ball. So it's very possible that this kid might be a surprise. But like I said, usually with our undrafted picks, they sit on that practice squad for a while. If they got the ability, they have the ability to maybe make it on the field at some point, they're gonna sit on that practice squad for a year or two, and then they'll get their chance. So I'm gonna go with the guy that's already been there. I'm gonna go with the guy that spent a little bit of time on the practice squad, and I think he's ready to go. So Jaden Mickens, I'm looking at you, man.
All right. That's a great answer, man. I really think you wrapped it up. I had a completely different answer, but I think you've convinced me otherwise. But my answer was going to be Holton, also because he's been there. I know we only had, 3 catches last year. And you said we have a lot of guys that can go deep, and that's true. But I do see Crabtree as the possession over the middle guy in tough situations, and Holton's kind of guy that can burn you over the top. He's pretty much a straight line speedster. Right. He had great numbers coming out of college 2 years ago, and I'm just gonna say Holton because he's been there, and I'm lazy, and I didn't do as much research as you did. So you take a pick. All right, Raider Rockstar. Hope you're satisfied. If we learned anything, you found out that I'm lazy or really busy. I haven't figured out.
Both, man. A little bit of both. They could be a little bit of both, right? We could be real busy and a little lazy at the same time.
Yeah, because it's really busy. I get home and I'm really lazy. Question number 4, Rockstar, and then we're gonna move on to one more question, and then we're out of here. It's hot.
It's hot.
Damn, it's hot
I'm
in here.
sweating up a storm over in there.
Yeah, you were wearing a gray shirt when you walked in. Now you're wearing a black shirt.
It's black now.
I was wearing a white shirt, and now I'm wearing a yellow shirt. Question number 4. Howard, Newhouse, and Feliciano are all hobbled. Vidal Alexander is getting the starting right tackle reps right now. Do you feel good about that after seeing him in limited action last year, or is that an indictment on rookie Sharp and Ware for not being able to beat him out? Can't use the rookie excuse of 7th-round pick Hester is getting first-team reps over Justin Ellis. Go ahead. Take this one.
First, to answer the first part of that question, yeah, I'm a little worried about that. Yeah. I'm a little concerned about that.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen anything out of Vidal Alexander to make us feel confident in him.
No, he's a false start machine. Factory.
We haven't seen it, man. What him and what's the other dude? Who's our other guy? Who's our other big boy that got out there in those big jumbo packages last year?
You're talking about Denver Kirkland?
Him and Denver got out there in those jumbo packages, and we were loving it.
Yeah.
But that's not when our quarterback's life was on the line.
No.
Okay? That was when we were going, we're biting down on the mouthpiece and we're going to hit you in the mouth. That's okay. We could put those big boys out there to just throw their weight around and open up some holes for our running backs. But as our everyday starter, every down starter,
yeah,
I haven't seen enough to feel confident in that. I'm very concerned with that. Hopefully these injuries or whatever are short-lived and something they just put some ice on it for a little bit and get back out there. But I'm not confident in you, Vidal. And you know what? You're more than welcome to show me and prove me wrong too. Mm-hmm. But for now, I don't think I'm wrong in saying that I can't trust you.
Yeah.
I can't trust you, brother. I don't know you like that.
Yeah.
I don't know you like that. And as far as, the rookie excuse, I think it's a little bit different when you're talking about offensive linemen and defensive linemen, man.
I'm glad you said that.
The defensive linemen don't have to protect our franchise quarterback.
No.
Okay, so if they mess up on a play, it's okay. As far as they didn't hurt nobody, they didn't get nobody blown up.
Yeah.
Offensive linemen got to protect our franchise quarterback, man.
That's it.
And we know what life is like without a franchise quarterback. So there's a little bit more value in a right tackle and a left tackle than there is to a D tackle. So that's all I got to say about that. You can't compare those two.
And I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to echo those sentiments. And I'm going to say Lincoln Kennedy already answered this question. We asked him if a right tackle was on the squad. He said no, and nothing's changed.
Yeah.
So,
and if you can't trust Lincoln, then who can you trust?
And regarding Vidal Alexander, my daughter, God bless her name's Autumn. You should already know why. Yes, she was born in October. A lot of people don't know this, but my Raider fans get it. So that's all I'm going to say. But she said,
Daddy, where do first starts come from?
You and Bobby's world on this.
Bobby.
She said, "Daddy, where do false starts come from?" And I showed her a picture of Adele Alexander, and she said, "Oh." So that actually didn't happen.
Oh man.
Yeah. Anyway, so the answer is no. We don't feel good, and you can't compare offensive tackles to defensive tackles. Yeah.
There's no comparison there.
And we kind of even answered that, I think, last week or the week before, how offensive, the life of an offensive tackle, right? The story arc of an offensive tackle is a long one in the NFL. Mm-hmm. So lastly, Plunk for Hall of Fame, one of my favorite callers who did not call in this week, unfortunately, but I do look forward to your calls. Great guy. Got to meet him in person. Guitar player. Good guy. All right. His question: is Marshawn Lynch really going to be a factor for us this year, or is this just a town business PR decision to help draw focus from the Vegas move? I'm going to say that it's anything but that, because if you're trying to draw attention away from the Vegas move, you are not going to bring on a silver and black bleeding Alameda County native onto this roster, because if anything, I think that it makes it even harder.
Yeah.
I really do, because, you know, this guy's going to come. He's going to give us probably his last 2 years, and then we're going to leave. And if anyone's going to be hurt by it, it's going to be Lynch. And I know that's part of his reason for coming back was I need to get in before they leave.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is anything to draw away from the move. In fact, I think it puts a spotlight on it for those reasons, right?
Yeah.
And yes, he's going to be a factor. We already told you this.
Come on, man.
Beast mode, not least mode.
Not least mode. Beast mode. This dude ain't coming back to play the back seat, man. He ain't going to be riding the bus. He ain't going to just be along for the ride. This guy came back to show up. He ain't gonna be in front of his people and let them down. Come on, man.
Yeah.
People are going to go out there and be like, "Yo, we came out here for you, Beast Mode. You're sitting on the bench. You ain't doing nothing." Nah, that ain't happening. This dude's motivated. He's excited to be in Oakland. He's excited to be a Raider. It's going to happen, people. It's going to happen.
Jalen Richard went from, "This is my team now," to, "I will gladly refill your apple juice, Mr. Lynch." He's polishing lockers, and he's more than happy to yield to Marshawn Lynch, I would imagine. So, and I know you're not being critical of Marshawn Plunk. You're just asking the questions, the tough questions, and we appreciate that. And I know you're hoping for Lynch to be the real deal too. And I'm here to tell you, Che's here to tell you, we think he's going to be. And that's not just excitement. It's looking good. It's sounding good. And this is a guy with a tremendous work ethic. And the dude's built like a fire hydrant. So, you know, it is what it is. I think that even without burst, Marshawn Lynch is a factor, right? Beast mode.
Beast mode.
So that was a good show, man.
Real good.
We're making the best out of this quiet off season.
And we are trying our best out here, people. I hope you appreciate it. We're trying to make something out of nothing. We were looking at each other a couple of days ago. We're like, what are we doing here? What are we going to do this week? I don't know what's going on, but we made it happen, and I hope you enjoy it, man.
Yeah, and you guys made it happen, because it was Che's idea to open this up to the blog for the questions, and you guys came through. Great questions this week. So who knows? It might be a slow week next week. We might do this again. I mean, we're definitely going to do this again for sure. So keep your eyes on the blog. And if you're just a listener, get on over there. And if not, give us a phone call. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear about you. And we'll catch you guys next week. That's all this week on the Pillaging Podcast. Tune in every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher Radio. Join our community at pj4f.com. Come for the podcast. Stay for the comments. Anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Man, we appreciate all the questions and keep them coming, man. Even if we don't have this question and answer segment anytime soon, keep them coming, because we'll save them and we'll bring them up another time.
Got to give a big happy Father's Day, happy birthday to my co-host here.
Thank you, brother.
It's your first Father's Day.
First Father's Day.
And I know he's still he's still on deck. He's still in the batting circle.
I'm still in the batting circle.
But he hasn't gotten to the plate yet. But I was kind of overlooked my first Father's Day. It was the same situation. And you know what? There's a lot of fatherly things that happen before.
Exactly, right? There's a lot of prepping for that moment. So the fatherly stuff started a long time ago.
That's it.
It starts the moment you find out.
Protect your neck.
That's it.
And that's why I got you a framed copy of Enter the 36 Chambers.
Thank you. And I appreciate that, man. That's one of the best gifts I've ever received, man.
That's gold right there. You deserve that. And all of you out there deserve that too. But I'm not going to send you framed copies of the end of 36 Chambers. You can go check it out, though, on iTunes, SoundCloud, or Stitcher Radio right after you listen to this show. So happy Father's Day to all you guys that are listening out there. And you ladies that are listening too. Make sure you take care of your man this weekend. He's doing a lot of work for you as well as you for him. And that's all I got to say. Much love to Raider Nation. Everybody out there listening, we out here. Go Raiders.
Peace.